Look, I guess the problem is, and I've been trying to explain this, and you know this as well as anybody, and this is the problem I have with the bill. Yeah, I agree that there's been some changes. There's no tax increases here. I was very happy with the House, and I want to be clear about this, about repealing Obamacare, about passing your plan, about passing cap and tax. I felt that strategically and tactically, and tell me where I'm wrong here, that when the competing bills came out, the Gang of Six, the McConnell plan, and the president had alternatives, that the one bill we should have focused on the most didn't get the attention it deserved. And
I agree with that.
Yeah, and for example, right. S&P and Moody's is saying neither one of these bills meets muster, and we're going to be downgraded.
Well, so first of all, I'd say a couple of things. This bill cuts spending. This bill caps spending. And this bill, for the first time in 50 years, forces a vote on the balanced budget amendment. We're going to have a vote on the balanced budget amendment, and we're also guaranteed a vote in the Senate on the balanced budget amendment.
Can Harry
we haven't had that in
retable
15 years. No, we can't. That's part of this deal. So we will have a crack at an actual balanced budget in the House and the Senate under this bill. So we cut spending, we cap spending, and we get a guaranteed vote on a balanced budget amendment. We can't guarantee it will pass because members of Congress have to make up their minds on that. The other point I would say, Sean, is we're getting 60% of the spending cuts we called for in our budget in discretionary spending. Yep. Look, I wanted 100% of what I wanted, but I got 66%. That's better than nothing. More to the other point, here's our problem. Barack Obama's president. Harry Reid's the majority leader. We control just the House. So we're not getting everything we want because we have divided government. But what we got out of this is we said no rubber stamp to the president, no tax increases, and we got good spending cuts. Not as much as I want, but I'm going to take these spending cuts and I'm going to go fight for some more tomorrow.
Let me, this is important, and I spent a lot of time on the program, and I know that Louis Gohmert talked to you about.
You did.
And apparently you promised that you would move this in your committee.
And, baseline budgeting, absolutely.
Baseline budgeting. So, for example, we're going to save these trillions that you talk about, but every year spending for the federal government, and correct me, is around an increase every year of about 8%. The Mac Penny plan, which is what I think Louis Gohmert was talking to you about, literally says we're going to freeze spending at 2011 levels and then cut 1% a year every year for 6 years. It seems to me something that we could really sell the American people, either that or cut cap and balance. I thought your plan was a good start. But if we don't deal with this baseline issue, where we're increasing 8% a year spending while the American people are suffering, we're never going to get to a balanced budget.
Look, Jeb Hensling and I have been authoring budget process reform for years.
Yeah.
One of those provisions is to fix this baseline joke. I mean, the baseline. So Louis is completely right about baseline. We're going to be doing budget process reforms, line item veto, more spending caps, biennial budgeting, and fixing this baseline issue. But let me just leave you with this. This bill brings discretionary spending lower next year than it is this year. That's never happened before. For 2 years in a row now, we're not slowing the rate of growth. We're actually bringing spending down, so it's lower next year than it was the previous year. So how much will we spend more next year than this year? We will spend $22 billion less, $21 billion less next year than we are this year. And then it goes down to 46, I think, next year.
So it doesn't go up. So real dollar spending doesn't go up 8% next year? Because Connie Mack says it goes up 7.5%.
What? I'm talking about discretionary spending. I'm talking about government agency budgets.
Okay.
Medicare, Medicaid, all that autopilot spending, that spending's on autopilot. That's why you have to do entitlement reform. That's what we proposed in our budget. Those things grow because baby boomers are retiring, healthcare inflation's going up. Those things are on autopilot. Congress doesn't have the control of those spending programs, which is 60% of our budget, on any given year. That's why we want to reform those programs, too.
All right, Paul Ryan, appreciate your time. And I hope you can get to the baseline issue, because for me, that is, if we're going to really cure the problem, and you know these numbers well, we've got to deal with that.
I agree.
All right, Congressman, good to see you. Thank you.
Sean.
And coming up, continue.